say go.
You're live.
Mike's. Clock. Getting through. Good evening. It's 7 o'clock. We're here for our regular scheduled county commissioner meeting, being a night meeting at 7 o'clock. We have all three commissioners here. We have our administrator, Mr. Danzel, and our clerk of the board. So I would call the meeting to order and ask everybody to please rise and join in the pledge. Thank you. First on the agenda is the adoption of the current agenda.
Move to approve the agenda as presented.
I'd like to see one amendment. I'd like to pull item number 4 from the agenda for tonight,
From the consent agenda.
from the consent agenda. Item number 4, 2025-341.
Second?
There's been a motion and a second with the removal of consent item number 4, 2025-341. All in favor say aye.
Aye.
Aye. Takes us down to public comment. Is there anybody in the room for public comment? Speaking on behalf of Franklin County, anything, or the agenda? Welcome.
Hi, I'm Alice Sorrell. I live in North Richland, but I'm in the 16th legislative district, so we share the same state legislators. And I'm here to comment on the traffic fatalities at the intersection of 395 and Crestlock Road. You said something, I heard you say something too about an intersection. Is it the same? That's, okay, that's a coincidence. I don't know them. But in 2023, there were 2 crashes causing 3 deaths at that intersection, right next to the Country Mercantile. And a Tri-City Herald article said that the Washington State Department of Transportation would look at the intersection to see if any changes could be made to make it safer. And then in August of this year, we lost 3 more people in 2 fatal car crashes on 395. One crash at the same intersection and the other nearby on 395. And then in September of this year, there was another accident reported at the same intersection. So in September, I emailed Todd Daly, the traffic engineer for the Washington State Department of Transportation South Central Region. And I also emailed Megan Lott, the South Central Region Communications Manager, to ask, like, well, hey, have you done anything to make this intersection safer? And Mr. Daly replied, and he explained that the department had added right turn and left turn acceleration lanes at the intersection and several others along the corridor back in 2020. And then in 2024, they made changes in the lane after observing that many vehicles did not realize that there was a left turn acceleration lane. And he also explained other options the department has considered or is considering. And I don't want to put words into his mouth, but I got the impression like there are maybe only so many physical things you can do. There's a lot of human behavior involved with underestimating speeds and the spaces between cars. And Ms. Lott, she replied to me too, and she said, for larger scale improvements, we encourage community members to reach out to local legislators as they set the state budget and help determine which projects this department can fund and construct. So that's why I came. I know there's other intersections. I know there's traffic fatalities in other places, and I don't know how the appropriation cycle, totally works. But I wanted to at least make a comment that if you have an opportunity to keep this intersection in mind when you are seeking state funding for the county, because I would like to see it safer, and I felt compelled to make a comment. So thank you.
Thank you. Anybody else for public comment?
So my name is Josiah Johnson. I actually live on
one of the intersections that the lady here is talking about. I live on East Vineyard Drive. There's been a lot of accidents there. The acceleration lanes and stuff have definitely improved and helped stuff, but I think the speed's kind of a concern. I think, you know, possibly a lower speed limit could potentially help. Just thinking of those intersections, I've tried to think of, you know, like a 2-hour radius of here of what other roads that are 70 miles an hour that have, you know, crossing traffic and trucks and stuff like that. And I can't really think of too many that at least don't have flashing lights or not at least 70 miles an hour. But yeah, Vineyard's pretty bad. Foster Wells, Finn, Crestlock, which you're talking about. But I think there's 2 accidents, I believe one Sunday night, that a couple people went to the hospital. At least I saw 3 ambulances go by and many police cars. I think that was Sunday night. And then I think there was another accident maybe Monday night also. Anyway, so obviously we live there and go through it, and it's, and I tell my family members every day, watch that intersection, be careful. But I don't know if there's anything that, any more we can do as citizens to help you guys, you know, get with the state to, you know, try to get a change or do something. But I mean, if there's, it'd be interesting to know if we can do anything on our end to help you guys to better facilitate getting something moving forward with them. So anyway, thank you.
Thank you. Anybody else for public comment?
Hi, my name is Connor Johnson, and same thing. I live on East Vineyard Drive too, and I go up to Connell High School, and I use that highway every single day to go up to school. And yeah, it's pretty dangerous. I mean, I had to use the acceleration lane, of course, but once you go to that intersection or before you get to it, there's no flashing lights or anything that tells you there's an intersection. So it's pretty dangerous to me, and I've seen some people, and they're not very smart. I've seen almost people get into accidents before, and yeah. Once again, I think they should just lower the speed limit there, probably starting from Booker to 60 probably miles an hour or slower, and all the way to probably King City, or I guess to King City it is 60, but all that needs to be probably 60 or slower and have lights and signs that tell you. Yeah.
Thank you. Anybody on the telephone? Or do we have phones available? No, no phones available. And I don't see nobody else coming to the mic. So I appreciate the comments. And yes, we are fully aware of the danger of that road. So thank you. Move down to consent agenda approval. We have 6 items on the consent agenda.
Move to approve consent agenda items 1 through 3 and 5 through 7.
Second.
Been a motion and a second for consent agenda items 1 through 3 and 5 through 7. Any further discussion? All in favor, say aye.
Aye.
Aye. Takes us down to regular business, which we have none. Commissioner Administrator updates. Mr. Danzel.
Well, thank you, Mr. Chairman. And hearing the testimony today, and as someone who lives in Connell myself, I can attest to the fact that what these folks are saying is accurate. What I'd like to do is write a letter on behalf of this board to the Washington State Patrol to ask for emphasis patrols to be done in that area, to work on a letter and get it to you here next week that we can have in correspondence to our local legislators, but not just local legislators throughout the entire state, and to kind of maybe give a little bit of cover and an explanation as to why things work the way that they do, if you don't mind. And that is that having been over there before, kind of the way that it works is you get more attention, maintenance, expansion, and dollars invested in infrastructure if you vote for the gas tax or the vehicle miles driven tax. If you don't vote for those taxes, then it's seen as a way that they can get back at you, the legislature. And so you're put between this rock and a hard place where you've got a constituency that's opposed to tax increases and the majority party in the state of Washington that says you're not going to get any road projects or any treatment from us unless you vote for the tax increase. So I just wanted to give you gentlemen a little cover, let you know that the general public know that that's kind of what happens. when it comes to these gas taxes. But I think emphasis patrols, I think that we get letters out to all of our legislators, and we can do that by next week. I'll have that drafted and ready to go by next week.
Please.
Absolutely. This week, I briefly said in a public finance meeting, I'm going to pass these down. This is a copy of where our investments are going. If you could take one and pass one down, sir. This meeting focused heavily on maintaining a proactive approach to the county's financial health, particularly concerning our investment portfolio. A couple of trends that we're seeing is that the Federal Reserve has lowered by a couple of basis points the interest rates. And so that is going to have an impact on our investments, including our residual investments. But in there, you will see our residual investments on page 9, where they're able to, take all the funds that they can at that given time and then invest it, and then the whole entire county does better, more monies for everybody involved. But it's a thorough report, and I would recommend that you give it a once over. I'm going to have another, and this is a late edition that I got here, but this is a letter from Larry Ziegler from Office of Public Defense, and, pardon me, it talks about some of the challenges. There are 12 outstanding homicide cases. Basically, it's a suggestion that the Board of Commissioners sit down with the judges and talk about maybe a route forward, but I wanted to give you the full context there. So that'll be maybe some homework for you as far as just maybe take a look at that, read it, see what you think. Met with David and Carl from Tridec to further discuss the shoreline reconveyance project among the Big Five. I attended the Benton Franklin Health Advisory Meeting where communication was discussed. Comprehensive has tentatively agreed to present to you gentlemen to discuss the Greater Columbia Behavioral Health Center project with hopefully updated costs and analysis to provide more prudent financial clarity on the project. And I have a meeting with Mr. Olson tomorrow to work towards that end. I was pleased and am pleased, and I might ask if she can maybe come up to the front of the room, but I was pleased to be able to spend a considerable amount of time this week introducing our new HR director, Amanda Isom, to all the various department heads and elected officials. Amanda, would you mind just coming up and saying a brief hello? Not to put you on the spot or anything.
Hi, everyone. I'm happy to be here. I've felt very welcomed, and I'm just excited to get to work. Thank you.
If you haven't seen Amanda, you will be. One of the things that I wanted to talk about tonight as we get ready to go and as we're just getting Amanda started here is to feel comfortable utilizing Microsoft Teams or Zoom. She'll be able to help you over those forms of communication, and she'll also be down here physically in person too. When we absolutely have to have her, and so I just wanted to keep people posted that don't be fearful of using some of the technology that we've been using for many decades now. Anyway, a couple other. Maybe one of the neatest things that's happened, and I could have done this in correspondence, I suppose. But we got a letter from a young lady from the East Side Preparatory School in Kirkland, Washington, to the Franklin County Commissioners. And Mr. Chairman, is it appropriate if I were to read this?
Yes, sir.
Okay. Dear members of the Franklin County Board of Commissioners, I'm writing to thank you for all the time and care you put into supporting your community. At Eastside Prep, we emphasize integrity and responsibility. Your dedication to Franklin County shows me what that looked like in action. Hoping to make a difference in my community, just like you do in yours, from managing libraries to things as big as community care networks. It's incredibly decorated. Jeff, I don't know if you'd want to take a look at that. It's pretty cool. And then there's a letter in it. And in the letter that's included with it, it's a part of this young lady, Raya Raymond. She says that she is a 7th grader that is doing a research project and her question is in regards to progress in rural areas. She has questions about the, it was actually what the PUD did in terms of broadband expansion, what we're looking to do to try to partner to bring water and wastewater systems that'll be improvements. It's pretty impressive for a seventh grader. And so anyway, long story short, the final ask was that when she sent us a copy of a poster of Franklin County. And the question that she had back was, do we have anything that we can give back to her? And so I've got a baggie, and in it, I've got from the Historical Society, I've got some documentation, I've got some pocket constitutions, I've got I voted today election sticker, I've got a bag. And so if there's any departments across the entire county, my idea would be to draft a letter responding to this, and I've got a draft of it right here. And then have you gentlemen sign it, as well as possibly maybe all the other elected officials. See if we can't round up a few different things to give to this young lady.
And I would like to maybe include a quote from Benjamin Franklin when he was asked by the lady outside of, when they were meeting to form this great republic, "What have you given us, fine sir?" And she said, "A republic, if you can keep it."
A republic if you can keep it. That's right.
That's what he said.
Yeah.
So we need to know what form of government we got.
She also wrote a poem for you.
Isn't that a beautiful poem?
A
It
poem?
really-
Well,
She wrote a poem in
Spoil
it.
all the
Jeff,
surprises.
why don't you read it, or Mr. Danzel?
Oh. You want to read it? You want me to? In every county near and far, there's heart and hope in who you are. You build, you care, you help, you guide with steady hands and so much pride. Through busy days and moments small, you lift your neighbors, one and all. Your kindness spreads, your work shines bright. You show us all we'll be all right. Thanks for all you do. It just touched me. You don't see that very often. And
A seventh grader, too.
very
That is
touching to me.
excellent.
And then finally, I would just like to say that last thing I'm going to send down your way before we get to correspondence is Jeff Briggs asked me for you gentlemen to review this thing tonight before we leave. It's the opioid settlement for Purdue. No,
I'm glad you got that out.
this is what it came in as.
Let's
So,
workshop it.
yeah. So anyway, I just did that as kind of a goof, but we did finally get some finality on the opioid settlement through Purdue Pharma, pardon me. That's my update, and I apologize for going on, but it was a lot there, and I thought that young lady was so fantastic to want to know about what we're doing for rural America, so pretty cool.
I like it. Thank you. Mr. Bauman.
Thank you for that, for your report. This last week, I was up in Moses Lake. I attended the Columbia Basin Development League annual, what do they call it? Not their annual conference, but their annual meeting, and really enjoyed there. In the One Big Beautiful Bill that President Trump signed, there is a little over $4 billion over the next 10 years for work on the Columbia Basin project. I was really excited to hear that. That's definitely something that every time I have opportunity, try to help with and want to see that project completed. Attended the Ben Franklin Transit Board meeting. Attended the City of Pasco Council meeting the other night. They had a very full agenda. I left just after they went into executive session. That was a little bit after 11 p.m. So they had a long meeting. I don't anticipate our meeting getting anywhere close to that. Had multiple meetings around the county, meetings with our new HR director. Welcome. Thank you for coming. Met with our administrator a number of times, met with corrections, other meetings around the county. I did field a number of calls. Thank you for being here tonight and talking to us about those counties or those intersections in our county where that people have lost their lives, and there's certainly a lot of accidents have been happening. And thank you for coming tonight. I fielded a number of calls from other folks about those intersections asking what can be done. I encourage them to write letters to our legislators, to the State Department of Transportation, and encourage them to write a letter to us that we can then forward along with a letter that I hoped that we were going to draft, and our administrator was a step ahead of me on that. And also have talked with a number of times with people about the intersection of Dent, Road 68, Taylor Flats, Columbia River Road, and about the need for that intersection to be improved. I actually had the occasion to meet with the city manager and visit with him just a little bit about it. And I think that, Mr. Administrator, if you're willing, that we should, perhaps you and myself, if my fellow commissioners are okay with it, you and I and maybe some of the leadership from the county and the city were to meet together and visit about that intersection, what might be done. I think there may be an opportunity for perhaps .09 funds to pay for a portion or all of that upgrade. And I think that it would be good for us to start the conversation soon and see what the opportunity would look like to do that. And that would be something that, while technically 4/5 of that intersection is now belongs to the city, I think it's a textbook reason for the .09 funds and ways for us to potentially use those. And it could certainly benefit a lot of the people that go out into the county. I think if we looked at the traffic numbers, I think it's probably more than a third of the people in the unincorporated county use that intersection to come to town. And so I think it could be valuable, so I'd ask for your assistance in helping assemble something like that so that we can do that, have that conversation. And with that, Mr. Chairman, I'll leave that as my report.
Commissioner Mullen.
So I met with the county administrator, just about county business. Just want to make a couple of comments. The Pasco Chamber of Commerce has their Ag Hall of Fame on January 15th, so if you know anybody that you would like to nominate for that award, I would contact them, the Pasco Chamber. And just also, if anybody's looking for Christmas presents, I know that the Benton Franklin County Fair is selling wristbands for $30, fair admission, all you can rides. And that, again, you can get those at Ranch and Home. And I think that's just a good way to help support our local fair. So anyways, thank you.
Thank you. So last week, first of all, I want to thank the people coming in and talking about 395 and the intersections. My wife is an EMT, so I know there is a lot of calls out on that road. And I have, we've lost neighbors, and it's a very dangerous road, as is 17, that we've also put a plea in for turnouts for farm equipment, because people get so impatient on 17 and they pass where it's dangerous, very dangerous. And they're doing that now on Glade Road and Road 68, which is Taylor Flats, and we're also asking for turnouts on those roads. In fact, I just talked to a farmer today, and he goes, why can't we widen 68 just 3 more feet on each side? And I said, well, that would be great, but I think turnouts would be even better to get the farm equipment to keep moving, let the cars get around them. But we have to make our roadways safer. Second, I want to, again, applaud our people here in the Franklin County Courthouse for lighting up the courthouse for the veterans. It's been lit up all month long. We are honoring our veterans all month, clear until December 7th. A day that lives in infamy with our country. So I want to thank them for keeping that going. Columbia Snake River Irrigators, where they are being threatened here with U.S. Federal District Court Judge Michael Simon is going to probably lower the pool behind John Day to a point where they won't be able to pump water. Their pumps will cavitate, they'll suck air, and then they'll lose their prime. And they're going to put a big hurting on these farmers if this happens. I've sent this information to Michael Baumgartner and telling him that we have to do something for these farmers in Washington and Oregon. It affects both sides of the river. They both draw from the pool there behind John Day. We also had Ben Franklin Transit, which I tried to get in virtually, but I guess they had a new guy could not even get into that meeting, and so I missed that meeting. The agenda meeting with Mr. Danzel. I want to talk, I got to meet Harold Stewart, which is the Pasco new hiree over there, and had a good conversation with him. And then I want to also bring up the Capitol Press. Last week, I brought up the fact that this Bob Griff could lose his farm because the Washington Department of Ecology has fined him a total of $121,000. This was last week. I reported on this. And in today's Capitol Press, we have the King family. And they've been fined by the Department of Ecology for $267,540. And what we have here is we have a Department of Ecology is completely out of control. They are going to be taking, and they have Rollins in here and spoke, and they have met with them, who is appointed by President Trump, the agricultural secretary. So hopefully we can get some federal help with this Department of Ecology in our state that is completely out of control. And then I want to just report that over the weekend I went down for the coach that coached me in college, Mouse Davis. He's 94 years old, 93 years old, excuse me. My mom went with me. She's 94 years old. She was the hit of the place. But we got to honor Mouse Davis for the run and shoot offense, and it was just an incredible 2 days, jam-packed. She got to meet some of my teammates, and they were all so gracious and just kind to my mother. And they were all, some of the other players were going, well, my mom's 95 and my mom's 93 and they're still alive. And I said, well, where are they? Why didn't you bring them? But she was the hit of that. It was really neat. And Mouse got honored. They revealed he got inducted into the Hall of Fame. And I think it's very important for us at this stage in our life to honor those people in their late 80s, their 90s, and show the appreciation for what they have done for this county, this state, this country, and what they've given us the opportunity to thrive at this point in time. We're losing it fast. We're losing our grip on the ball, and it's sad. But this Department of Ecology is really on my mind right now, and I don't know what we can do as a county to stand with Rollins, however she comes out on this, that we stand with her. Yeah, we're putting a bullseye on us, but if we don't stand together, they're going to take us out singly, just like they're doing with these people.
Another thing that article says is they canceled 12,000 acres worth of grazing leases for that ranch.
Yeah.
And with the price of land nowadays, you can't afford it. And so the leases that have been in place for generations, and they use a rancher giving his cattle access to water as the reason to cancel these leases. It's ridiculous, you know, and they're not doing anything new. They're not doing anything different. They're cleaning water holes and giving cattle access to water. And there's a saying that a lot of people don't like, that's a lot of real, graze it, log it, or watch it burn.
That's right.
And there's a lot of truth in that. And if we don't graze these public lands, look at these, you know, they keep blaming these horrible wildfires that we're getting on, you know, the environment and warming. Well, we're allowing the forest and our rangelands to load up with feed because we're not grazing them like the good Lord intended us to do. And yeah, so I appreciate you bringing that forward.
Well, there's also, when you said that about farmland values, there's the USDA per acre farmland values 2025 adjusted for inflation in Washington State, the irrigated cropland, 9,800. Now, I know we got sales that are way over that right now, but I don't know why our assessor couldn't be looking at this USDA irrigated cropland evaluation, because yeah, there's a lot of activity happening out in the farmland right now. There's bankruptcies, there's farm sales, it's just not a good time for farmers. Our commodity prices are at an all-time low. All our input costs are at an all-time high. So and we don't see any relief. Water, power, it just keeps going up. So that's the end of my report. And I encourage people to get the Capitol Press and read it, because this is probably the best newspaper you can read in the state of Washington. I think it's accurate reporting. Very well done. So with that, we'll move down to correspondence.
Thank you, Mr. Chairman. I've got, and members of the board, I've got two pieces of correspondence. One is from the auditor's office, Matt Beaton. We are losing an employee there, and from what I understand, the auditor wants to move a separate employee up and then hire a backfill. So it's going to be two personnel actions, and they're asking for permission. And again, I would yield to Council Briggs on this, but I'm guessing that if you're wanting to do that, the way that they would do that, it would be to add an agenda item and then make a motion.
Sure, yeah, that's one way to do it.
Is that acceptable? Okay.
That's fine.
So there's that one, and then I'd also like to give you, there is two, these are separate now. So one is just to be able to hire under the hiring freeze. This other one is to be exempted from the hiring freeze because it's from the Horticultural Pest and Disease Board, which is not funded out of current expense, but funded on a property tax assessment. And they do need seasonal help, and so that's the other formal correspondence we got. Now, I will say, I had a late submission correspondence that we're going to be hit with that I do recommend that we don't put off for too long, and that is Larry Ziegler and OPD has reached out to all of you gentlemen, so I'd ask you to review your emails. I've got a document on his behalf as well, but basically the point being is, with the number of homicides that we have currently sitting, that there's going to be a need for more attorneys and the ability for him to be able to do that from time to time and contract from time to time with folks so that they can meet the demands that the state Supreme Court has mandated to us. So that was a very late arriving piece, but I wanted to put that on your radar because I'll be briefing you in the meantime. We'll be having conversations, I'm certain, over a myriad of items. But I think that's one that you should be aware of and hip to. And as I've said before, like when it affects Larry, it affects everything associated with the courts, So just wanted to give you a heads up on that. But that was the official correspondence that we received this week. And so with Council Briggs's go-ahead, for lack of a better term, if you're wanting to do any action tonight, my recommendation to the board would be to add 2 agenda items if you're wanting to, and to allow one, the auditor's office to backfill. And then for the second action, it would be to allow the Horticultural and Pest Board out of the hiring freeze. Thank you.
Well, Mr. Denzel, there was one other that was listed, a letter to the A1 Hospitality regarding the overflow parking on the Happel parking lot.
Yes, pardon me. I sent that down with another piece of paper,
Oh,
so
you
I was
did?
wondering where yes.
Right here.
Yep. Come a little bit further. There you go.
Okay.
Yep.
Alrighty. Thank you.
Mr. Chairman, I move that we amend our agenda to add 2 potential action items.
Second?
Been a motion and a second to amend our agenda for 2 action items, potential action items. All in favor, say aye.
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 Mr. Chairman, I move that we approve the Horticulture and Pest and Disease Control Board's request that we exempt them from the hiring freeze.
Second?
There's been a motion and a second for the Horticultural and Pest Disease Board to be exempt from the hiring freeze, which they are under the orchard assessment. Not all farmers, just orchard assessment is how they get funded, which we have no control over. So there's been a motion and a second. All in favor, say aye.
Aye. And second, Mr. Chairman, I move that we approve the request by the Auditor's Office to exempt them from the hiring freeze to fill 2 critical positions. One of them will be an internal lateral movement, or not a lateral, but an internal movement, and the second will be to backfill that position and to accept the request as presented.
Second.
There'd been a motion and a second to accept the request from the auditor's office to move a person up within their office and to hire the one to fill that. Is there any further discussion? All in favor say aye.
Aye.
All right, that moves us down to public comment. Is there anybody for public comment? Seeing nobody. Oh,
Good evening.
good evening.
My name's Austin Wagner, and I heard Commissioner Mullen kind of talking about ways to give back to the community, and it inspired me to get up here. So, for the first time ever, the Tri-Cities is getting a giving machine. So I don't know if you guys have heard of those, but they're basically a vending machine that works with local nonprofit agencies. So Boys and Girls Club of Benton and Franklin Counties is one of the agencies that they're working with this year, and it's going to be located at the Queensgate movie theater. But basically, it's just got ranges from like $5 up of like ways to donate to different nonprofits that help out our community, and it's going to be here from November 21st to December 10th, and they're kind of giving us a test run this year to see if it's worth giving us a longer streak next year. We're kind of splitting up time with us in Spokane this year, so I encourage all those who can to go donate to the nonprofits of our area. Thanks.
Thank you.
Thank you.
Anybody else for public comment? Seeing none, we'll move down. Is there a need for executive session?
No.
No need for executive session. And at this time, do we want to go into closed session or just go through the workshops first?
The workshop's going to be very municipal.
Okay. So other business, no other business?
Yeah.
There is no other business? So at this time, then, we will adjourn the meeting and move right into our workshop. And first thing I need is approval of the workshop agenda.
Mr. Chairman, I move for approval of the workshop agenda as presented.
Second.
Been a motion and a second for the approval of the workshop agenda. With no further comment, all in favor say aye.
Aye.
Aye. Moves us down to public comment. Public comment would be related to either of the two topics we got, tax title properties or fueling options and quotes. If anybody would like to comment on these, please come forward. I don't see anybody coming forward, so we'll move right down into the first workshop item, tax title properties. Mr. Danzel.
Thank you, Mr. Chairman, members of the board, Council Briggs. The tax title properties is back on the agenda because I just wanted to be very clear about what can be done with them, and I wanted maybe for, if it's possible, for Council Briggs to just inform the board of what exactly we can do, and maybe just a little minor discussion about when we were having our discussion earlier previously. There was, I think, a misunderstanding of what could be done with the properties, and I want to remove that misunderstanding, if that makes sense.
Thank you.
Mr.
Yeah,
Briggs.
because there was confusion.
Okay, well, hopefully I can clear it up a little bit, but we'll see.
Caused by me.
Oh, it's caused by Brent. Okay, well, hopefully I can do better. So tax title property, sort of a governing principle of tax title property is that we hold that in trust for the taxing districts. So that means we are a fiduciary. So we have to act in the best interest of the taxing districts when managing that property on their behalf. And I think keeping that principle in mind helps sort of guide the discussion, because that's sort of the overarching principle of the tax title property, is that someone was delinquent on their taxes, we obtain that property after there was an auction where we didn't get a bidder to bid the amount that would clear that tax burden. And so we take them at that point. And at that point, when they're tax title properties, they don't accrue any further taxes or liens. And so what are our options with tax title properties? We can do the Indiana Jones exchange, where you have, where he takes the idol and puts the bag of sand on, right? You can exchange it for something that's 90% the same value. right? And let me back up a little bit and say that, you know, the statute does indicate that you're not limited by just what's in that statute. There's other statutes that it references, and I'm talking about 3635. That's the tax title statute. One of those is the Intergovernmental Property Transfers Act, and that statute lays out provisions about how you can transfer property between other governmental bodies, like the city of Pasco or something like that. And what it says is you could transfer title to another governmental body on mutually agreeable terms. So that sort of allows, it's a little bit different than saying fair market value. So as long as you're getting a good bargain on it, there's not a lot of case law on it, but there's an old AG opinion. It's so old that Christine Gregoire wrote it when she was an AG before she was governor. But it basically says that mutually agreeable terms is broader than just the fair market value. It can, you know, you could be trading across interest, basically. So think broader than money.
But question though, but does it still have to meet that 90% criteria?
No, that would be
Doesn't?
a different mechanism there. And I haven't explored that much. So if it's something we are thinking about with the tax title property, I can look into it more and get more specifics
Okay.
on it.
Question on that.
Yeah.
For clarity. So if you're doing an intergovernmental transfer of some kind, it wouldn't have to meet that 90% criteria.
Right. It references the tax title statute does reference it's an alternative to 3933.010. Yeah, which leads me to believe that they can exchange it on mutually agreeable terms. But I have not delved into that. I was just looking at it this evening when I saw it on the agenda. So I would want to explore that a little bit more to see what nuance is in that. Or is in those rules, but yes, that is, it wouldn't be because it's a separate statute, you would be complying with this statute now and not the 90% value rule. It would just be whatever terms, because I think there's less of a danger. The danger that the government wants to avoid, or the legislature, when they wrote all this, probably, I'm guessing, is that they don't want these sweetheart deals, right? They don't want you giving it to your neighbor's buddy. Whereas here, if you're giving it to another governmental entity, the property's going to another governmental entity, so it's going for the common good somewhere. So I think that's why they give more flexibility.
It is no longer in trust when that happens, correct?
That I don't know. That's a good question. That's why I'm saying there's some nuance here. I would need to look into that more, because I know the other option to use the property, if you use it, and this is, again, jumping away from Intergovernmental Property Transfers Act to the tax title statute, that one does talk about using the tax title property. And because it says using the tax title property, that implies that it retains that character as tax title property. So if we were to use it for something like we put in a community pool on a tax title property, we could do that, but it would still be tax title property. So if we ever chose to sell it, we'd be left with the option of, when you sell tax title property, it goes back to the taxing district's pro rata. And then the question is, and this is kind of interesting for if you had a property for a long time, is it the property's in existence when it was pulled into its tax title status, or the properties today? And it's not
Clear.
no, it's not. Not to me, and there's zero case law on it. So
Saying is if there's more tax title properties such as districts created after that, they're entitled to it.
or maybe not. Like
Maybe
that's
not,
that's
yeah.
what I'm not sure of.
Clarity of that.
Do we know what they did? Because this parcel is the larger portion, and there was a portion broken off. Do we know the process with which they did that?
No, I would like to know how that happened. You can do that. So there is some freedom in the statute that allows you to parcel off the tax. But if you're parceling it off and selling it, it needs to be at an auction. That's the only way you can, so you can't, and it would need to be, there need to be some determination that was made that the individual parts are greater than the sum of the whole. Like you can make more money parceling it off. I mean, but generally, we're not in the land development business. We just sell it and then, move on. So it gets back on the tax rolls. That's the whole purpose of this.
Do we know what date that was sold off?
It was back in 2011, I believe.
Was that when? I couldn't even, I didn't know. The property you're talking about, the legal description changed. It was a sectional, like a half section, and it went to something else. So yeah, something happened.
Mr. Dancel?
For the purposes of tonight, and I didn't mean to throw Jeff under the the fire there. I think that we could be specific and get specific to the tax title property that we're talking about.
Yeah.
And then would you like? I think what I would ask is, would you like us to bring back then what options are available to that one specific property that we're talking about?
Yes, please.
Okay.
Yes, please.
Does that sound doable?
Okay.
Yeah.
Yeah, I didn't get to cover all the options, so I had two more. There was, you can sell and lease them. So that's it. That was it. And if you sell and lease them, it goes pro rata back to the taxing districts.
Right.
So those are your options as I see them.
I think, and
That's okay.
I guess getting some kind of quick opinion on whether it's in taxing districts in place today or when the tax parcel became, I think that's going to be important, irregardless of what we do with it, likely.
Okay.
And then one other thing maybe is when that was sectioned off and sold, was it done legitly? I mean, are we legally, is it something that was done legally? It is. So, all righty. So I think we're done with tax title properties. Let's move down to fueling options and quotes.
Yeah,
Mr.
thank you,
Dancel.
gentlemen. There was just, I went back and I watched the previous meeting, and we talked a lot about either purchasing in block or going out and getting bids for our fuel. And I just was looking for some direction on that. My recommendation would be that we get bids, and that we've talked about like Pacific Pride and CFN, and there's more and more of these fueling networks that are coming on board. But I believe that it'll be a way to save a pretty fair sum of money going into the new year, the new budget. And it's just a way to be proactive rather than just waiting for the bottom to fall out. And right now, as we're getting into hopefully what looks like it might be a more conducive terms for the United States when it comes to both domestic energy creation and independence, but also when we're bringing it in. And we like that and everything. But I think that one of the issues, and this goes to some of the issues you were talking about, we have the highest gasoline and fuel taxes in the country. And so being able to get out in front of this, being able to try to purchase at a lower rate now so that for the entirety of the rest of the year is usually a really advantageous idea, unless there's take like a national depression and get whipsawed so bad to where we went from, $4 a gallon to 82 cents a gallon is how you'd get hurt doing it. But I know that you all three have kind of talked to me about this and been in favor of some way of purchasing the fuel. I just didn't know exactly how, and so I was looking for direction, and that's all I was looking for.
Commissioners?
I think you should put it out to bid.
So I think that's likely the best option. The question that I would have is, how do we do it today? And it's my belief that we likely should consolidate it into, I don't know if we do it into the ER&R or into what department, but that we need to consolidate all fuel consumed within the county into one block and then take that block to bid. I don't believe we do that right now. I think the sheriff's office buys fuel, Public Works buys fuel. We buy fuel in multiple different, basically, accounts, and the purchasing power comes from the block, from the volume. And so you're probably going to have to do some evaluation of that. And so it's I see it just a little bit about like taking subscription-based, IS services and putting them within the IS department. And I think it's a little bit the same thing of that we're, it may need to come out of the sheriff's budget, come out of all the different budgets into one, and then take that block and go to bid. That's what I'm, and I don't know the answer to that.
Mr. Danzel.
Yeah, I think that's a really salient point. I think that makes a lot of sense. The two things that pop out is that we could certainly, we need to do what you say, which is to get the entire county on board and try to get your biggest, cost savings that you can possibly handle. So I would agree with you on that. The other part of it that I think that is incredibly important is that right now, the way that it's done is that we're just paying, whatever the price is for the day. And that adds up.
It definitely adds up.
Yeah.
And, I don't know what the volume numbers are, but between the sheriff's office and Public Works, we burn a lot of fuel in a year. And if it's available for, to be had at a bargain, we should be doing that.
Absolutely. And, one other thing that just struck me was as we're talking last week during the workshop with Enterprise, and we're talking about this motor pool, I think it just makes sense to be buying bulk fuel. Motor pool makes a lot of sense. So I think anything along the lines of cost savings to be able to provide transportation or to move around makes a lot of sense. I will absolutely look into that to you and have a couple of options for you next week.
I too believe it should be an RFP, and I wouldn't mind seeing 3 years analysis of what we have spent on fuel against the RFP coming in, buying bulk with the use of cards, because we don't have storage. So we're going to have to pay for ours in bulk with the dealer and then use the cards to remove the fuel, with which way they will give us a report every month of what we used, what we paid for. But I think buying in bulk, paying up front, we're going to save a lot of money.
Yeah, I don't think we want our own fueling station.
No. Too many environmental rules about storage.
That's accurate.
All right. So I think we're all in a consensus with that.
Okay.
And we're good, huh? So with that, we'll move down to public comment. Is there anybody for public comment on the workshop? Seeing nobody come forward, I will adjourn the workshop, and we will move into closed session for 10 minutes? How about 8 minutes? 10 minutes.
Yeah, just for 10, maybe even shorter.
Okay. I guess you got to stand in the rotunda for 10 minutes. 10 minutes. Sorry.
Yeah, it's closed session.